Coming to you from the historic Hart Building in Marysville, California, in Studio 93, In the Tank with Fish, with your host, Bob Fischetti.
Well, welcome to another adventure of In the Tank with Fish. And my guest today is Stacy Runyen. And Stacy she's just cool. So we're let's cut to the chase. It's Stacy Runyen. You know, it's like, anyway, with Back the Badge. And we're going to be talking about that. Just exactly what is that? And how can people be part of that? How can they back the badge? So it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I feel like
I've never done this before. I've only watched a few, and yeah.
How have you not been in?
I should have asked for the full rundown.
Would you get it?
But here I am.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've never had you in here.
No.
Well, don't take it personally.
I've been in that room a couple times, but
I think that's what it is.
Probably.
Because I know you've been in there. But, you know, I tell people, if you go on the radio, we're a little bit rushed, even though we take way more time than we're supposed to.
You do,
right?
yeah. We appreciate it.
This is a little different, a little more relaxed. This is where I ask you more personal stuff. Well, you didn't even flinch.
I hope I have no skeletons in my closet.
Well, like if I asked, what was 13-year-old Stacy like?
Oh, goodness gracious. I have a horrible memory. I don't even remember what 13-year-old Stacy was like. Middle school.
That's a good thing, because if you remember.
Isn't everyone like so awkward in middle school? Probably awkward. Playing sports. I played sports like all my life. So.
Did you grow up here?
Born and raised in Fairfield.
Oh, you're around Travis Air Base.
Yes. My dad worked there, actually. He was a civilian firefighter there.
Well, that's cool.
Yep.
So how did you end up in Yuba City then?
I know people laff when we talk
about
that
Are you Yuba
story.
City or Marysville? Where
Yuba City. Mm-hmm.
Yuba City,
Yuba City, yeah. So I born and raised in Fairfield, went to college at Chico State, went through the teaching program there. That's where I met Jim. And then he was 2 school years ahead of me. So he graduated.
The older guy.
Yeah, and went back home to Huntington Beach, where he's from, and started the police academy and all of that down south.
He's got that California vibe.
He kind of does.
He really does have that. I'm from Huntington
But he's
Beach.
a super NorCal guy at heart, though. Like,
he loves it.
We like the beach and it's nice, but the traffic and congestion like that just gets to him super quick. And so he comes back up here and goes, like breath of fresh air. So
you guys were in college together?
Yeah.
What was your major? Teaching?
Yeah, so I was a liberal studies major.
You are a teacher, right?
I am a teacher.
I don't know why I always forget that until if you had not mentioned that, I wouldn't have remembered.
Well, it's funny. No one thinks they know in this community, they probably know me more so with Back the Badge or being associated with Jim or the police department or something of that nature. And because I now work for a non-classroom based charter school, I'm able to kind of make my own schedule with my families. So sometimes they might see me at odd hours. So everyone just assumed I didn't have a career. Like I just didn't work. I just did volunteer work. And so we even had a board member, Alessandra. We love telling her story. I mean, she was on the board, I think, for 6 months before she asked me about my office in my room at a Christmas party. And I'm like, oh, well, that's where my office is, where I do most of my work. And she's like, you work? Like, it was like an epiphany. Well, you have a job? Wait a minute. I thought this was all you did. So no, I think this is my 23rd year of teaching. Yeah. So I love it. So that's what I do. That's what I do. That's my job. Besides being a mom and wife.
Because I know your husband, and he is a law enforcement. And how long has you been in law enforcement?
This is 23 years, I think.
He looks young, so it's hard to,
You should see the early days pictures.
He looked like a baby.
Oh my gosh, like a baby, yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. As you get older, it's kind of a nice thing, right? So, but somewhere along the line, because you had the connection with law enforcement, and I know you've told me this story before, but tell me how Back the Badge originated. What happened? Because there was other gals involved in Back the Badge in the beginning.
Yeah. So there was I want to say 1, 2, 3. There's about 4 of us. And they were all at the time YCPD spouses and very active at YCPD. We did a lot of stuff there. We coordinated Police Week events. We'd put barbecues together, goodie bags together on certain days. So we were super active in the department. But we wanted to be able to do something more. And then there was, of course, the incident in Yuba County where 2 officers were hurt. And I just had heard that there were challenges of being able to facilitate people that wanted to donate or wanted to help. Where did it go? Who collected it? How did it get back to the officers? All that kind of stuff. And so we thought, well, why not establish something here locally that could support both counties where we could facilitate those funds or could take that load off the agency that, life keeps going, the department keeps running, investigations, still have to happen, et cetera. Let's take that piece off their plate and help them out and support the families. And so that's what we ended up doing. There were about 4 of us that were all like founding members, if you want to call us that.
So you have Yuba City PD, Marysville PD, Sutter County Sheriffs, and Yuba County Sheriffs, and CHP. So you have
and then
5,
Wheatland. And Wheatland.
And Wheatland.
Yes.
And as well as Beale.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of law enforcement in this area.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember, I think it was you told me a story about how, because you were the wife of a police officer, you realized that there needed to be a connection with the spouses, that something had to happen where, you know what I mean, they felt supported as well.
Sure.
And so did that end up just automatically, or was that birthed because all you girls were, all of you were in that predicament, if you will? It's like, well, we can commiserate with one another, but there's more than us 4.
For sure. And I think, now 10 years later with Back the Badge, we're hitting like year 10, I think, right now. Wow. It really is our primary focus right now. There's a lot of money that's been dumped into the agencies themselves now in the area of wellness. And so a lot of departments have their own wellness programs and doing a lot of things to support their officer. And so once we kind of saw that wheel turning, we thought, okay, well, if they're being well taken care of by their agency and new programs being developed, et cetera, and offerings, let's really focus on the whole family unit. Let's focus on the spouses. And so that's where the book club came about. We have a spouse retreat that we're doing now. So we did that once last year and planning our second one this year, and seeing a lot of success from that, as far as just not feeling alone, right? That's the biggest thing. So as long as they're not feeling isolated or alone in their feelings that they have as being a law enforcement family, because it can be hard.
I think that's a key. Honestly, I was law enforcement in the military and then a chaplain for Yuba City PD. And, it's a very odd, police officers see things they can't unsee. And there's a process that they have to go through, not just every day in their job, but for some things they have to kind of walk through it. And I don't think people realize that affects their family, And so having support for that officer is huge, but having support for his family or her family as well, and understanding. And you mentioned a real key, and that's isolation. Nobody understands.
Yeah.
And if I had a nickel for every time I heard that one, nobody understands. No, there are people that understand, but it's like, how do you get that where it's okay to talk about this?
Yeah.
What can I talk about? What can I not talk about? And for my family, how does this affect my family? Does my family understand fully the nature of my job? And we think about it with a spouse, but even the children.
Yeah.
It's great to say as a kid, my dad's a police officer, but there's a lot involved. And usually, I would guess, moms become the buffer.
Yeah. True.
So they need support,
they don't even,
right?
And sometimes they don't even know what they're buffering, right? Like officers, a lot of times, they keep quiet, thinking like that's their protection from, for their family. If I just keep it to myself, or if I can just figure this out on my own, so I can protect them, they don't need to hear what I'm going through, which actually makes things so much worse. And that's what we've learned really through the book club, reading through feedback forms from that. There were so many aha moments of, gosh, if I had only known what I know now, I would have recognized this, or I could have brought up that, or helped my officer with a little bit of self-reflection, because they're not even noticing really what they're going through. So when they both have the knowledge of what to look for and how to support themselves and each other, then you're working more so as a team versus against each other. Even though you both have good intentions, doing it alone or your own way, trying to help and protect the other, is actually the complete opposite of what you want to be doing.
I've done 30 years of marriage counseling, probably more now, and I've been married 52 years.
Nice.
And if somebody said, be careful, I'll get emotional. What's the greatest attribute that your wife has? Mm. And in all your counseling, what did you see as such a core? Right? I would say support. She believes in me. Yeah. She believes in what I do, right? Sometimes, quite honestly, it kind of she has to take a second seat to what she would like, knowing I need to do certain things, and being willing to do that.
Yeah,
it's not an easy thing for anybody to do.
Yeah.
So when you're married to a police officer, there's got to be times it's like that's his job, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you probably wonder, how do I support him?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What kind of support does he need, right? And so it sounds like you guys. So tell me what the book club is, because you mentioned it a couple times and I'm not familiar with that.
So we've done 2 sessions. So Carrie Kaufman, who's the local first responder therapist here in the area, we work very closely with her on, she sees and hears a lot of things, and we kind of get information from her as what needs that she hears about.
I remember her.
Yes.
You brought her in. I think.
We talked about her. Yeah. About her.
Okay.
And she works with many of the law enforcement agencies. Mm-hmm. She now has her own, private contracts with them. And we have them as well with her. So any law enforcement officer, or retired can receive services at a 50% discount through her, buy back the badge. So we cover the other half. And we did that for a number of years, but like I said, now a lot of agencies have their own contracts with her, which is fantastic. So they're covering the support and psychotherapy services now. So we said, okay, well, we want to keep our offset cost for those that aren't covered. So again, those would be your retirees or spouses. And so she does see a lot of spouses too. And so from what, again, she gathers information from seeing people, she had thought about doing a book club using Emotional Survival, super popular book, right? And so based on that book, she puts, I think it's 6 nights together. We've done 2 different groups, 6 to 7 people in each group. And there's just a chapter or 2 that they pick as a topic each evening when they get together with her. And it's just a lot of knowledge through the book. So you're seeing the book work, right? And then you've got Carrie with all of her knowledge and expertise. And then you've got all these other peers that are there that are willing to share their story. And so a lot of times you're learning threefold, right? You've got a therapist here, you've got a book with knowledge and information, and then you've got a class of students, and you're just soaking it all up. And so
there's got to be a lot
that's the best line of peer support right there. Exactly. So that's your first line of peer support right there, is finding people that have similar situations, similar feelings, right? Nothing validates you more than knowing that someone else can feel the same way. But just learning from them on how to best support their officer and their families. There's been a lot of, big aha, I'm so thankful now that I know this. I wish I had known this sooner.
That's
stuff
a major
like that.
one, yeah.
So we're hoping to keep getting groups together like that. Yeah. And what's great too is when you start learning from other spouses, you can match possibly your officer up with another officer with a similar situation, right? You might be going like, my officer is having a hard time with X, Y, and Z because of a call that was like X, Y, and Z. And then you've got this other spouse that goes, mine too. Or we went through that 2 years ago. Let me share with you what we did, And so when you can match couples up or spouses up or officers up, whatever, with similar experiences, like that is some of the best peer support that can be offered right there is that, because they go through.
We're going to be right back. I want to, there's a couple areas I want to talk to you about. And one of them is that I'll just hold it in, right? I'll just hold it in. And then I want to talk about how can people participate in Back the Badge.
All right.
So we're going to be right back. This is In the Tank with Fish, and I am with the absolutely amazing Stacy Runyen, and with Back the Badge, and a school teacher, and a mom, and we got a list
all
probably.
The things.
Yeah, all things.
PTA, sports coach, I don't know, all the things.
So we're going to be right back. Stay with us. You're In the Tank with Fish. 93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us.
The work that Mr. Fischetti has done with us to promote public education has been absolutely groundbreaking.
They have the pulse of our community, from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important.
Local radio is so important. During times of emergency, they're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, it's a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep in your pocket and give to 93Q.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important. Well, we're back, and as I said before, I started to call you Kelly Runyen. You're going to have to change your name. Stacy Runyen. We're back with Stacy. And like I said before we went on the break, and I want to remind you, like, subscribe, do something else, share. And all those things you do, leave a comment. We appreciate it. And then we'll even answer those comments if we like them. And so if it's a good comment, right? So I said before we took the break that I was going to ask Stacy about how do you become a participant? How can somebody help Back the Badge? We always talk about it's a nonprofit, and so they can give to it to help support what you do. So talk a little bit about how do they give, but then is there a step they can go where they can volunteer and the rest of it?
Yeah. So our website has everything. So that's backthebadgeys.org. But at the very bottom of that, there is all the information on ways to donate. So we have PayPal. We do have Venmo through our charitable donation link. And then we also have a P.O. box where folks can mail checks to. And people regularly donate all three ways. We even have a few people that have set up their programs. They're like giving back program kind of things through their work.
Oh.
So their work matches their donation with each paycheck. And
so that's cool.
Yeah. And so we get a check like 3-4 times a year from organizations of people that just choose to donate to us. So that's fantastic. And it's those small donations that keep us running and not depleting the tank, which is great because we're trying to, of course, keep some reserves for, God forbid, anything horrible that happens. And so, of course, recently we've been able to have money to help out with situations like that. So every little bit counts. It all supports officers or families in one way or another. Nobody takes, there's been a lot of questions lately. Well, how much do you guys take off the top? None. We are all volunteers. We take no money. Everything that goes to back the badge is used in all the ways that we've shared and told. Or if we're doing a specific campaign, for example, our fallen officer that we recently just had, there are date ranges where we have, like, no matter what, everything that just comes in, it goes right towards that cause. So we'll have like campaigns for things or family members that happen throughout the year. And so all the money goes directly to them.
So do you only have the one fundraiser that
Yes,
you do? So you
that
have a
will
major
do-
fundraiser.
We have one major
once a
fundraiser,
year.
and then we share the fireworks booth
Oh,
with the Yuba Sutter Squad Club, so CHP. And then TIP, the last couple of years, have sent us some volunteers as well. And so they've helped us out a little bit as well. So it's...
I tell people that monthly, because we're a nonprofit, the radio station is, although it's all connected. But anyway, it's like if you've got people that give large amounts, you're very grateful for it.
Absolutely.
But it's that smaller amount that's consistent, because if you lose a large donor, now there's a big hole in, because I don't know if people understand this, but I was a pastor for years. They say, well, how does the church do its budget? Well, I don't know. How do you know how much people are going to give?
Yeah.
So writing a budget's really hard. So I'm sure for Back the Badge, it's like if you didn't try to keep some reserve, you got no way of knowing what the income will be.
Yeah,
so you'd be like guessing. On the other hand, you don't know what the emergency might be.
Exactly.
So you guys are really in a no man's land in terms of, I'd hate to be your finance officer.
Yeah. We've looked at a few grants before, and they require you like to fill all of that out. And I'm like, we don't know.
How do we do that?
This. How do you do this? Like it's all based on kind of the ebbs and flows of what happens that fall within our bylaws. So, yeah.
Yeah,
the struggle
and
is
I've
real.
tried clever ways for people to give, like feed the fish. It's like,
I like it.
grocery
Got a ring
money.
to it.
Little grocery money coming my way. But so what about people actually, Stacy?
Yeah.
Volunteering their time.
So
are there things that you guys do that people could volunteer their time?
Some, especially the gala. That's probably, both fundraisers, I should say. The gala and the fundraising booth are the two times where we really do need volunteers and help. And so on our website, there's a spot that says, like, be part of our team, support us, something at the top. And we have an ambassador program. And an ambassador essentially is just someone that wants to donate their time based on their availability, and they just sign up on a list. And so when the gala comes up, when the fireworks booth schedule comes out, we will use that email list and just say, here you go, folks. If it's in your schedule, we'd love to have you and could use your support. So those are our ambassadors. And then, of course, we have board members. And we have a huge board. We can go up to 15 people. I think we have 13 right now. And I know for the first couple of years, and I was never in nonprofit. I had never been part of a board. I had no idea what I was doing. It was like learn by doing, and some others that had experience on the board. We were learning by trial by fire, right? But while we were, putting it all together and trying to learn how it all worked, I thought 15 people was huge and hard to, I wouldn't say manage, but just a challenge.
To navigate.
Yeah, but now I see it, and now I love it, because on our board we have a wide range of folks, right? So on our board we can have up to 5 employees of any of the agencies that we serve. And so they're not limited to that, but we have no more than 5 at a time. But they are spouses. They are sons or daughters. We have what we call like community seats, which are just community members. Maybe they have no family direct ties to law enforcement. It's just where they choose to give their time. And as a board member, which is a pretty big commitment. And so we have those folks on our board. So we're very well rounded with people that know the inside of law enforcement and how departments run. We have the family side, and then we have community member side. And it's great because we all kind of balance each other out.
Yeah, everybody has a different perspective.
Yes,
that
and we all
helps
ask
bring a
questions.
resolve. Yeah.
Yep, that kind of challenge each other.
Great.
There's plenty of heated debates on how to use money, when to use money, who to give it to, like, because there are bylaws that we have, and we really try and follow those very closely. And so when you get a big group together, everyone's hashing it out and asking lots of questions. But that's what I love, is when everyone asks lots of questions and they're curious how things work or how things run. And when we have those varying perspectives.
There's actually a
well
Bible
rounded.
scripture says, in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. And so having,
that.
13 people giving different opinions, you get a bigger picture and a
Yes.
better picture. And although it, like you said, sometimes it can be a bit heated, sometimes you need that. People are passionate about things. And so, that can happen. But it still means in the end, you get the safety of, now I hear from community members. Now I hear from, law enforcement, people that are connected directly with it. And I think that's very important to bring balance to the board. We've had, when I had the board for the school, I had Mother Goose Preschool, Queens Avenue Church, and basically be on private ed. And it's like, so when I first went there, they didn't have anybody on the board to represent the school. It was just a church. So, we sat down and hashed out the bylaw. Look, we need, what are you going to do? The school's there. And now here with Tower Media Productions, we got the podcast rooms. I'm putting local TV in downstairs. So you need a broader scope, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, you can get stuck in a tunnel and you don't even realize it. Right?
And it's like, okay, well, I got a great idea. Get 2 people on the board. What do you guys think? It's like, well, we're all in agreement. Okay, well,
Yeah.
So how many years has Back to Badge been around?
We're going into our 10th. So we were established in May of 2016. So coming up on 10 next year. I know.
The radio station started in 2015. So right after that.
Same age.
Yeah. And then I met, you have a gal, Cindy. Now, is she still connected to Back to Badge?
Yeah.
She wasn't.
She's our board secretary.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw a plug out, folks.
Yes.
These gorgeous
those are
cups
Yeah.
come from my friend Cindy.
That's fantastic.
I can't believe she does that on top of everything else she does.
I know. You want to talk? You kind of went through my list of things. Psh, you should see that woman's list. She's fantastic. So we're friends from college. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
Yeah, we went to school together. Yeah.
Wow.
And she ended up right here in Yuba City with me. So I love it.
So is she from here? Are most of the people in Back
She's
to
down
Badge?
south.
Huh?
She's from down south. We met at Chico State as well.
Amazing.
And we both ended up here. I know.
So let's talk a little bit, because you talk about volunteers and how people can give. The gala is a big event.
It is.
It is a big event. You guys held it out at the Hard Rock. And actually, you had asked me one year to do the invocation, and unfortunately, I got sick. I don't even, was that during COVID? No, it couldn't have been during COVID. But anyway, I'm 74. Once in a while, I get,
it was such a bummer. It was such a bummer.
Besides that, I might decide to preach. You have to be careful, right? They had me for the Officer of the Year ceremonies. They'd have me do that, and I've always just feel like, it's like I have a soft spot for law enforcement. Because I know, and although for me it was in the military, and I was a chaplain, but not an officer, but I get it, and so garnering the support for them, I'm really glad that you gals at some point said, I think we can do more. Like I said, I feel like even in my own marriage, it's that support.
Yeah.
It's knowing that I love you enough that if you're being alone in something, I might have to poke you a few times to get you to talk.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing that you guys are there. And I love the idea of the book club. That's an amazing idea, because now you're talking about having the resources to mitigate things that happen that you're not going to stop from happening. Yeah. I would love to tell you that we're going to get, crime is going to get so low that in our area, police officers are going to start forming rock bands because they don't have anything else to do. So they're
got to find extra hobbies. That's important. Find your hobbies.
I don't know. I think Jim could do David Lee Roth.
He was. Hey, he'll probably kill me for saying, but he was. He was in a rock band in high school. So you'd never know.
When he sees this, you're not supposed to let that out. Oh my gosh! So tell me where you think it's going with Back the Badge in terms of you're doing a lot, and you said, however, the agencies have picked up different ways to do wellness, right? And so what other holes are you guys looking at it and saying, gosh, if we could do something for that element? I know that this recent officer, that was a big deal. Nobody can write the script for Last Day of Watch. Nobody can do that. It happens, right? And it hadn't happened here for 100 years, right? Whatever. So it was like, so you guys are aware of the possibilities.
Yes.
My point.
And really it was one of the, biggest reasons we did establish ourselves is for an incident, God forbid, if it ever happened. And unfortunately it did. But like you said, you can't write the script, but I do feel like we were well prepared as a board for our roles that we had. Many people don't know. And see, that's the thing about the gala too. If you don't attend a gala and hear about the things that we do, and we kind of do a quick rundown of like what we had done in years past kind of thing at those galas, if you weren't there to hear that, a lot of times people just don't know what we do. Like there's no way for us to display or just quick radio, which we are so thankful for that we're able to share some things that we do. But we got that quite often in this circumstance with the officer's death. And that was, oh, we didn't know you did that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you guys did that. Oh, you do that as well? And so we just kind of roll with the need. And that's what we really do as an organization as well. We like to get feedback from our stakeholders. So those are our officers' families, our officers, our agencies. If they were to come to us and say, hey, we really need help with this, can you support us in doing that? Absolutely. That's why we're here. A lot of times we do create things, though, like the book club or the spouse retreat. The retreat had always kind of been a pie in the sky idea for years. And finally, we just said, we got to do it, and found a really cool location. And so this year, we're going to do not only a spouse retreat, but one for the officers as well.
Oh, that's smart.
That's going to be in September. So we'll see how that goes. But everything we've done is like I've never done it before. So we're going to, let's try this and see how it goes. Book club was great. We did it again, right? The spouse retreat was great. So we're going to do it again. Haven't done one for the officers before. So we'll see how it goes, putting that one together. But it's all based on need and feedback.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? That's what we'll do. And if there isn't a big need, we don't mind being quiet and slow with no plans on the horizon. That's okay too. So it's all based on the need.
I want to touch on this because we've talked about giving and being a nonprofit and that. So you're in a little different place because of the things you can't plan on.
Yes.
So whereas with a nonprofit, with the radio station, I can figure, okay, maybe our cameras are getting old. I need, right? But you guys don't have that. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I want to talk for just a minute about people who become regular givers. And all nonprofits would like to have that. The difference with you guys is you really need a reserve because you can't I started to say bank, I guess, well, you can't bank on, but you can't count on what is or isn't going to happen, where the need is going to be. And it's like you said, even with the spouse retreat, it's sort of, well, maybe someday. But because enough people were giving, it allowed you to move into these significant areas. But again, you always want to have that reserve, which I believe is different. It's needed, but it's understandable. So I just want to encourage people that watch this. It's great to give one time, and I hope you do. And I'm very grateful if you do, and so are all the officers. But if you can think about coming up with monthly giving, it would allow Back the Badge to have that reserve. God forbid that the incidents would happen, but it's law enforcement.
It's bound to.
You don't get to count on it, And so anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because of the very nature of what you do. And because I'm somewhat familiar, although I haven't been to a book club yet, I probably am not the one to invite to that. And it's like, and then I was going to ask you this. So you have the spouse retreat. What do you do if it's a dude?
Well, the location that we found, and that was probably our biggest push, was I think I was looking for a big summer house for family vacation or something, and it just came up in my search, and I felt like it was one of those moments, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this place. And it's about an hour away, just under an hour, just outside of Grass Valley. But it's beautiful. It has like a main house, a pond, hiking trails all over, a volleyball court, tennis court and basketball, a hot tub, and then 2 small cabins. So it was one of those situations where, so if there was a male spouse that wanted to attend, there were, room accommodations to where, we could put all the gals in the big bunkhouse ones, and then there were still cabins for the guys to be in that still wanted to participate. We didn't have one sign up, but we were prepared for that.
I think, this is just me. I'm an old dude. I'd be like, oh man, which one of you girls is cooking?
It's a tough one, right? Because you don't want to single anybody out. You want to make sure.
I'd have an opinion, right? Because you're still a spouse. You're still a spouse of a law enforcement officer. So it's still, your input's valuable. But I think it'd be something you got used to. And I think, honestly, there isn't a gal among your troop that would not be accommodating and going, we get it.
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't have that, because the part that's shared is the part that's shared.
Yes.
It's just me. I'd be like, I get my own cabin.
Yeah.
Who's bringing my coffee in the morning? It's like, dude, you're...
Well, it was great. And board members came up.
Very cool.
And helped with that. So we had one board member. She came up both days all on her own and did nothing but food prep the whole time. And it was amazing because myself and I think there were 2 other board members that were spouses and board members that attended, but we felt like that would just fall on us. Like we would make sure that the ladies, because not only did we want to provide resources, but we wanted it to really be a retreat, right? Like days off where they didn't have to work or do things. And so we thought, okay, so we'll wake up early, we'll make sure breakfast is out. And then we had meals planned. So we knew when we'd get lunch out, we had it all planned in our head. And one board member came up both days, and that was all she did.
Wow.
It was just like work in the kitchen and prep work for the next meal and clean things up and just have snacks out. And it really was retreat-y, we were able to relax and just spend time with each other and share stories and play games. And we had guest speakers come up and share. So it worked out really well. So we hope to do that again in similar fashion.
It helps strengthen relationships. You spoke about the fact that you and Cindy had gone to college together. So here you have a friend that you, right?
Yeah.
But it does make me wonder how many of the spouses maybe don't have that.
Yeah.
Because police officers will move from one jurisdiction to another, and then they may not know anybody in that new area. And there's nothing like a retreat where you have an extended time with one another to help foster and then strengthen. Some relationships you already have it strengthened. Other fosters new relationships. And so I have to ask, so since you've been doing the retreats and you've been involved with this, have you made a lot of new friends through the course of that?
Yes. What was odd this first year, somehow I kind of like knew each person, or it was through a friend of a friend, or it was someone that had maybe volunteered before or somehow involved. And it's probably because there was a small level of comfort of kind of like, okay, I kind of know these people. But there were a few that just cold turkey. I don't know anybody. They're just like, I'm just going to do it. And what was great, and this is the difference between men and women, right? Like there are a limited amount of parking spots at this house. Oh. And so we can have 17 people up there spending the night, but they can only do about 8 cars there.
Yeah, I do.
So I shared everybody's information, so everyone kind of knew who was going. And I just said, if you can, please reach out to someone that like lives in the same geographic location and try and carpool. And that's the difference with gals, right? They're just like, oh, of course, and I'll take a car, and I'm over here, and I'll do this. But what was great is the bonding. It started in the car up there.
Yeah.
So people that were even perfect strangers met up just to drive up there, and they had an hour to chit chat before they even arrived. And so it was a really cohesive group. I felt like everyone was involved, and everyone was really comfortable to be there. And the more comfortable you are, the more you'll share too. And so there was a lot of great stories of like, hey, you know, my officer and I are struggling with X, Y, and Z, and this is what I've tried. And before you know it, in a group of 17, they're like, hey, try this. Oh, never even thought of that. Perfect. And before you know it, their notebooks are just like, try this, and do this, and do that. And then Carrie Kaufman came up too. And she was able to share with those spouses what she's been doing with officers, right? So everyone can see the level of support that their officers getting at their agency and through her and therapy services that are offered. So it was a lot of just knowledge sharing, and the whole knowledge is power thing, right?
Yeah,
like the more you know,
it really is.
And you don't know what you don't know, if that makes sense. You know, you don't realize you may not know something until you know it, you know?
So you started out, you said it was 4 you gals from Yuba City PD, right? And so as it's grown, because you couldn't know the spouses from all the different agencies, right? But as different ones have come in, were you expecting, even though it's a different agency, there's such a commonality that the stories are the same?
Well, when Back the Badge started, so that would have been like at least 10 years into, at least 10 years into my law enforcement journey and marriage, right? So there was certainly, I think, a level of knowledge already there. And I had personally done trainings and things like that myself. So I think by then I had already kind of recognized that, but that's, I think, where I can support others in that way too. So before even Back the Badge started, I did Traumas of Law Enforcement, which is a super popular training done by Concerns of Police Survivors. So I did a 2-day training myself. You can go as a spouse to that one. And that's what really like kickstarted my own personal journey of what I wanted to bring to the area. And so I worked directly with YCPD on some things that I brought back from that training. But that's what kickstarted my own personal journey. And so I think I just took my own personal knowledge and the experience that Jim and I had as a law enforcement couple that kind of became my driving force of wanting to support others. But
which started very early for you.
Yeah.
You guys weren't married that long before he was in law enforcement.
No, and we were that cliche, almost, didn't make it couple too. You go through the academy and field training, which can be some of the hardest times. And we weren't married yet, of course, but we did. There was a time period where we separated because the cliche couple thing. I thought I was making things very clear of what I wanted. And it wasn't what I was getting. And so I was like, I just don't think I do this. Like, I'm out. And to him was like, wait, what? You know, like no clue. And now I read like these books and these books on law enforcement or about law enforcement spouses and such. And so I'll read our own story. I'm like, see, this was us. But we fixed that real quick, but also I had that experience to never let us get into that place again, kind of thing. So again, I think there's that experience that we brought with us.
Because if one of the gals that comes, I start to say younger gals, but it isn't always, people get into law enforcement later. So that's not really the right term, but new, right? Newer ones get in. The number of you that have that practical experience, we walk through that. You don't just go, oh, well, ever, because you know the depth of it. So you can go.
It can be a very different experience, starting from the beginning and going all the way through together. Versus meeting someone in law enforcement and then getting together. It could kind of be a brick wall for those that didn't do the whole journey together, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what did I sign up for again? Like, this was not what I thought it was going to be. But again, that's where that knowledge and support comes in, because the earlier you know and the earlier you understand the job and what it takes to do that job well, the better you can support them. So that's the goal.
I think, and you know, I alluded to my wife being a support. I don't care what you're in. Having support from those closest to you is huge. But I would say, in particular, first responders, military. My wife was in the military. We met in the military. And I was a cop in the military. So she got that very early on, right? It's like, you know, he's a nutcase. I need to help him. I don't even know if he's going to make it. It's like, why did you stay? I don't know. It's like, so before we get out of here, though, one more time, the website is
backthebadgeys.org.
That's easy. .org. Got to remember that.
And it shows, what we've done in the past, what we're still connected to, how you can support us, how you can donate, events that might be coming up, all that stuff. It's all on there.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Fish,
Yeah.
I got something here that Kelly used to. Remember those?
Oh, boy.
You only get this if you get in the tank.
Like the actual, you did one of these as if you were like hiding something special inside. I get a cup?
Yep. Yeah. And your friend makes those. You might be able to talk her into
Oh my goodness. I'm going to leave today and send her a little picture.
Yeah, and say, look what I got. Thank you. You are an absolute amazing woman. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Not just, how many kids you got? I didn't even ask.
I have 2. Haley and Connor, they're 14 and 15 right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, super busy. But you say so many kind things about me, but when it comes to Back the Badge, I cannot say enough about the board members that we have right now.
Yeah.
Nothing happens without them. I mean, we have requests coming in all the time. We have, we had every 15 minutes we helped with Marysville last week. We have a peer support training we're co-hosting next week. Fireworks booth around the corner.
Yep.
Everyone pitched in with helping with Officer Rodarte's ceremony and the helping with the family there. And a lot of us are trained for it too. I never mentioned that, but a lot of us go through trainings. So we're trained to do, those services. We've done funeral planning trainings, things like that, which all came into play and we were able to help out through that with the agencies that helped plan that. But they all put their heart and soul into this, and they are very much like me. They have careers. They have small children. They are involved in their church. They're coaching sports. They are the jack of all trades as well. But the group that we have right now, when we come together, I mean, things just happen so quickly. You know, I worked out of Yuba County for a couple of days during the service planning. And as things came up, it was just like, hey guys, looks like we need a charter bus. Can we work on a charter bus? In 15 minutes, we had a charter bus, so they make things happen and they work their buns off. So they make the organization look good. It's their heart and soul behind of it too. So,
well, let them know we're appreciative because of how it affects the entire community.
Yeah.
Law enforcement, generally, we think of protect and serve. And we live in a great community. We really do. I've lived a lot of places. There aren't places like this everywhere.
Yeah.
And the support is genuine. But you don't always get to hear about the one supporting the one supporting,
Sure.
the community. So make sure you thank the board from us and let them know they're appreciated, and you certainly are. And I just think it's a great opportunity for people to have an organization when we think of first responders and what they bring to the table. To me, this is a way the community can say thank you and give back to them by backing the badge.
Yeah.
I said that. Right then.
We're like amazing facilitators, just like you said. Yep. And that's what we love. It's connecting the community, but through us, we can get it to them, I mean, how many times have you seen a billboard in the middle of some town that says, thank you, law enforcement, with a big blue
Not enough.
flag on it, right?
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that? So we hope to get another one going for that as well, our 5th year in a row. So the next
thanks
project.
for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Yeah, thank you.
To come in. And one more time, I just want to remind you there's opportunity to help support Back the Badge. I want to mention that unlike a lot of nonprofit organizations, well, most of us, it's hard for us to write a budget because we never know how much is coming in.
Yeah.
But just consider that in your giving, that here's an organization that sometimes they can be swamped very easily financially, so they try to build a reserve. So think about that. Next time you're giving, you can go to their website, backthebadgeys.org.
Nailed it.
I'm getting better at this all.
You're on fire.
Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been In the Tank with Fish and Stacy Runyen, who is, are you like the main person, the president? What do they call you?
Yeah, we're pretty traditional. President, treasurer, secretary, like those are our executive boards, and vice president. Those are our executive board spots.
The executive.
We keep it simple.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment.